Hey guys, hello, welcome. I'm Xena, also known as Kate, also known as Kitula. Anyway, hi, I'm doing a video today that I'm quite excited for. Whoop, I'm just gonna get a better position. I'm really excited to do this video. I have wanted to talk about this for a very long time. Quite a few people asked me the other day to talk about this as well. I was really surprised, and because an interview came out in Real News, my page, because an interview came out a few days ago, I thought this was the perfect time to talk about the whole thing. So, if you don't know, I was in Game of Thrones. I was in season 4 and 5, and it was more amazing than you could imagine. So I'm here to talk about it. So I'm gonna read a little bit, like actually I'm not gonna dive too much into this because it is in Greek, and I'm not gonna live translate the whole thing. Like, so this was the scene. I think a lot of people recognize the scene, at least. But I thought I would talk a little bit about all my experience, kind of in detail, kind of based on this. So if you want to read this, I think it's online. Otherwise, get comfortable. So, I was more into modeling when I was younger. I then fell into acting, and I loved it. I went to a drama school, a night drama school, like I was in college and uni at the same time. And I did like a couple of, I was in a music video for High Cross Society called Every Time I Look. I'll put it in the description box. It was really fun to film. I was in a short film. I was in a couple of theatre things. I was in Egyptian Vice, I was in Angels and Demons, I was in Doctor Who, I was in Casualty, and then I was in Game of Thrones. Game of Thrones happened after they got in touch looking for someone with my kind of style and aesthetic, which is very tall and long natural blonde hair, blue eyes, pale skin. That was kind of what they were looking for, with kind of northern features, which I guess I have. So I didn't take at all. Like the Greek side from my father, nah, doesn't exist. I talked to them, I talked to the casting department, and I remember they called me and they said, yeah, we're looking for someone. It was Monday night, to fly out to Ireland this Thursday. Are you available? And I said, yeah. What's the show? And she said, it's Game of Thrones. I was like, what? What? the biggest show on the planet right now. I was like, this can't be real. So until she sent me the email with all the details, I was super nervous, and I literally didn't believe it. I thought there's like, this is where I get abducted and sold. Like, that was my first thought, like something is not real here. It was just too good to be true. So, after talking all the evening via email, I sent obviously a headshot. They wanted a swimwear shot, which I didn't really know why they wanted to see my body. They asked what tattoos I had. And then she said, okay, you're confirmed, we want you, we're booking your flight now, and we'll send over your itinerary. By the way, are you okay with full frontal nudity? I was like, what? Okay. So I said okay, as long as it was tasteful and artistic, which it was. It was, in my opinion, it was really kind of cool. We agreed. The next morning everything came through, and I literally flew to Ireland just following their instruction. I get to the hotel, they pick me up from the airport, they take me to the hotel, and they tell me to just check in and go to my room and wait. After about 15 minutes, a runner came and left me a script under my door with notes of how to play my character. I was actually cast credited and paid as an actor, so like I do have credits for my work in Game of Thrones. I'm sitting on the bed in that hotel room reading through the script, and I was in awe. It was just so bizarre. I couldn't believe that it was happening. It was crazy, and I treasured that moment. So the next morning, the call time was 4 a.m. and they picked me up and they took me to the set, which was the castle, which was where the scene was filmed. Now, they took me to the set. I had my own trailer, which was, again, crazy. And they took me to my trailer, and the producer came and brought me a contract and just kind of like said hi and asked me if I needed anything. And then I went to hair and makeup, where they covered my tattoos, they did my hair, they did my makeup, and then we went over to the set. So I had someone like assigned to me all day, so they would be like the person who would help me and whatever. And we went over to the set, and as I was walking over, they had on this scaffolding, there's like huge soft boxes where they were doing the lighting from outside, and then from inside they were adjusting like through the window all the kind of the gels and the curtains, and it was amazing. So I walk over and I'm introduced to the main people in the crew. I was introduced to the writers, Dan and Dan. I was introduced to the actors. So I worked with Indira Varma, Will Tudor, Pedro Pascal, Josephine Gillen, and Charles Dance, OBE. Who was an honor to meet, because I have, obviously, if you grow up in the UK, I don't think there's any getting away from Charles Dance. Like, you'll see him in something. And such an amazing actor. It was just such an honor to meet them. All of them. I met everyone, and we were taken to our little kind of like our break room, where I'd already undressed. I was wearing a robe, and we just sat around for a bit, and everyone there, which were the actors that I just mentioned, they just paid so much attention to me in such a nice way, which was just like, they asked me where I was from, what I was studying. It was just so sweet, and we just had just normal conversation. It was just, they were the most humble, amazing people ever. Then we went and did our first couple of takes and our like the camera tests, and they tested the crane that we used and camera A and camera B. And the most amazing thing is that it was a closed set, but there was still about, I don't know, about 40 people in crew that day. Every single person called me by my name, which I thought was something so bizarre. Like, everyone, obviously that must have been one of their like production rules, that every time there's a new actor on set you must call them by their name no matter what. I just thought it was amazing. It was just like the most professional environment I've ever been in. And I remember first taking off my robe. I remember my stomach kind of like turned over. I was looking at all these people, but no one was looking at me. And that was the most amazing thing. Like, the amount of respect that we got doing that scene, which for me was quite difficult in a way, was unbelievable. So that was something that I really loved. And after then a few takes, I was way more relaxed. But every time, the second the director said cut, she would shout cut, and someone would come and bring me my robe within seconds. Like, they didn't hesitate. So I felt great. So about lunchtime then, we all sat outside. Instead of going back to our trailers, which was the option, we sat outside all together having lunch, which was really nice. And we had about a 14-hour day, which when people watch TV, and when I used to watch TV before I got into anything TV-wise, you never realize that a scene takes so many shoots. Like, you don't see a scene on TV and you think that that's been shot like so many times. It just doesn't seem that way. So we had a very long day, and again I had an early flight to leave, so I didn't really get to like even realize what I'd done. Like, it was the most bizarre experience. The other things that were amazing to me were the attention to detail. There was a bowl of grapes next to the bed, like on this table, with like a glass of wine, and between every take someone would come and spray the grapes so that they would look cold and wet and appetizing, which was amazing. Like, those attention to detail are what makes the show absolutely groundbreaking, which Game of Thrones is. After the day finished, I was in a haze, and you know, I went home, and a year later they called me back to do the other 2 scenes that I did. So that time I had to actually have a costume test, because the fitting, I mean, because they gave me 2 different costumes for 2 different scenes. So they actually flew me out for a day from about 11 AM until about 4 PM. I was just like popped over to Ireland, you know. It was crazy. So that time I actually got to go to the full makeup and hair department, which was the size of a supermarket. It was massive, and it had like rows and rows and rows of clothing from all the different actors, all the different supporting actors, all the different scenes, all the different locations in the world, the Game of Thrones world. Amazing, amazing, amazing. Remember though that this is Unit A, so, well, A or B, I'm not sure which one was which. Obviously half of Game of Thrones was filmed in Ireland, and then half, well actually, were there 3 units? I think there were actually 3 units. So there were the Mediterranean scenes, which were done in Croatia. There were the other scenes which were done in Iceland and Greenland or Iceland? Greenland? I can't remember what they told me. Anyway, actually I think that was 1 unit, and then there was the Ireland unit, which was, you know, one of the main units where a lot of the filming happened. So I was walking through all these clothes, and then they put me in the makeup department to just wait for my fitting, and I was looking at all the wigs. I love wigs. I wear wigs. I think they're really awesome, and I was sitting looking at these amazing detailed wigs. There was one of Emilia Clarke's wigs. It was so detailed. They had like these tiny little plaits all over it. It was just so amazing. So I was fitted then for that that full kind of like dress thing that I was wearing in one of the scenes. So, and then there was the warrior outfit, which was the leather for part of the set. I think there were 7 of us, 7 goddesses that walked in the circle. So those 2 scenes were in the same location that I'd done before, which was the castle. But waiting to be taken to location this time, because I had to go via makeup and fitting when I filmed then, we were taken to the studio. The studio was huge. Like, you can't even imagine. It was so big, and it was so tall. It was like an airplane hangar, like this really tall, but taller than an airplane hangar that I've ever seen, like twice the height. So big. There were these huge rooms with like green screen. There were all different parts of the world in there. There was the Iron Throne, and then next to that was a completely different location type of set going on. It was just crazy. So I was waiting there, and then we went and we did our scenes, and I was there for 2 days of filming for that time, which was again amazing experience. And then when the scenes came out, I had the privilege of doing Comic-Con in Cardiff. I think it was 2014 that I did that, and maybe 15, can't remember. And I set up a page after the scenes came out as well, because like quite a few people found me from the credits. So I made a page, and I remember making it in the evening, and then I had like thousands of followers the next day, and I had such amazing support. And I still have some of like the original people who liked and commented and sent me messages then still follow me, and they were the people who were very encouraging towards me when you know, I left uni, I became a photographer. I mean, they still are people who interact with me now, which I find amazing. Obviously I got like a lot of hate as well. Like one of my favorite comments was actually in Greek, saying that my face looked like a dirty dish rag. That was one of my favorites. Often called a man as well. That was like the easy punch, like, oh, you're tall, so let's call you a man. Like, well done. So like those those comments actually never really bothered me. I've always been quite thick-skinned anyway, so they didn't really get to me ever. But they gave me quite a lot of encouragement. And the whole show, like the fact that people followed me and supported me after the show, and then they still do, and doing the scene in that type of scene as well, which was a difficult scene. It was, you know, I was vulnerable, I was completely naked, you know, like I really put myself out there. Doing something like that made me have, like, it gave me so much confidence to do whatever I wanted to do afterwards. Like, I felt that I could do anything, which is why I kind of dove into photography. The second time I filmed Game of Thrones, I had ordered my first camera, my first DSLR, and the day I got back, it had arrived. So I remember, like, after my fitting and after the first time filming, I was like, I want to try photography. I think I might like it. I think I might be good at it. I'm gonna do it. And it kind of gave me the confidence to go ahead and do it, and do the 365 project that I did, like do weird conceptual photos, do weird poses, do weird styles, and that made me learn everything that I know now, which has enabled me to become a wedding photographer. And as I said in this interview, I hope a photographer of different sorts as well. Like, there's so much I want to do. I kind of want to get back into acting as well. Like, that is something that I want to do, and I'm thinking about it. I'm thinking of maybe the ways that I could do it here. But it's another reason that I wanted to do YouTube, is that I kind of have this desire to express myself and share lately. So there's that. But yeah, it was the most amazing experience. You know, I still can't get over the fact that I was in that amazing TV show. So yeah, I thought I would talk about this. Many people have asked me. This is kind of the most of the detail that I can say. There are some details that I still can't talk about, but yeah, if you followed me from the beginning, I remember all of your names, and I'm very appreciative to everyone who has supported me in everything, because as I said, many of the people who supported me from the beginning still support me now. They still, like, they follow my wedding photography. They're like, oh, you know, that was such a nice photo in the Greek church. Like, that means a lot to me. And yeah, so so yeah, thank you for watching. If you want, follow me on my other socials, subscribe, like this video if you enjoyed, and I'll see you very soon for a new vlog. Thanks for watching.